is Project Effective Body Language. And without further ado, Bruce Four.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you. Toastmasters and fellow guests. My name is Bruce Four, and what I'd like to share with you today is an experience when I first found out about Toastmasters. I had never heard of the organization, at least not focused in on it. It was kind of one of those words I heard in my peripheral life. I first started looking for different clubs to join, and after a series of times I realized that, you know, one of the clubs I liked the most was up in Clifton, New Jersey. And I would go there, sit in on the meetings, sit in the back, and try to understand how the program flowed in a general meeting. And there was always this part, which was the table topics portion, where everyone had an opportunity to speak for 1 to 2 minutes based off of the topic master's questions. And I would be sitting back there comfortably, listening to the question, saying, that's an easy question. I could have done a better answer. How hard could that have been? And this went on for 1 to 2 meetings. And by the third meeting, I was a regular, sitting in the back, doing my normal conversation. You know, comments from the peanut gallery to myself. And the topics master that night, her name was Kara Attell, club president. And she was wearing multiple hats that evening. She was the topics master. And she looked back and said, I've seen you here a couple of meetings. Your name is Bruce Four. Come on up. And I looked. I'm like, I got this. I got this in spades. This is not going to be a problem. Stood up and walked up to the speaking area, greeted the topic master, and she gave me a question. And all of a sudden, things started getting dim. I couldn't even remember the question. My hearing started to fade. My mouth started getting dry. I started having butterflies in my tummy, and I was like, I couldn't figure out what it was. It was just silence. And I was hearing this loud banging sound, and I began to realize, oh, that's my heartbeat. What's going on here? This is crazy. And I was up there literally for, it felt like an hour, quite frankly. And it was like, I need someone to come and pull me off of this. Someone save me up here. This is just crazy. I was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I could hear in the distance this, which was the audience gracefully saying, get off, come on back to us. Get back into the anonymity of the audience. And I kind of slithered back to my chair and sat back there, not making eye contact with anyone, saying to myself, having a series of ongoing conversations, what the heck just happened? I wasn't even paying attention to the meeting. I started having all these ongoing, how could you possibly have thought you could have done something like that? What happened to those pithy, eloquent comments you were going to make? Those insightful thoughts that you was going to share with the group? What happened? And all I could say to myself was, I don't know. But I tell you this much, at the end of this meeting, nobody better get in my way, because I'm going to get out of that door and they'll never see me again at this club. This is it. I'm done with it. It's over. So the meeting was continued. After the table topics, you had the general evaluator come up, and the general evaluator pretty much started doing the call for reports, the grammarian, the yard counter, the timer. Timer got up and started calling the individuals' names out and said, Bruce Four. 17 seconds. 17 seconds? That wasn't 17 seconds. That was literally an hour I was up there. You guys had me out there hanging to dry for a whole hour. I know. I said, this is it. I'm getting the hell out of here. So the meeting went on, and you know, by the time the president kind of adjourned the meeting, I was really trying to make, I was eyeing that doorway. I was like, nobody better get in the way, because I'm taking off. I'm out of here. And I got up and I was about to walk, and one of the members came up to me and said, hi. I'm Steph Atari. I'm like, yeah, I'm Bruce Four. I'm trying to get out of here. She said, no. I just want to let you know that was a very interesting speech you did up there. It looked as if you had stopped breathing. Oh my God, that's what it was. I wasn't breathing up here. I was having so much intensity about what I wanted to say. More importantly, how embarrassed I was feeling at that moment that I had stopped breathing. And she said, listen, there are a lot of things you can do. I can help you. I'm a yoga instructor, and one of the things we learn, we practice breathing. I tell you what, why don't you take it easy? At the next meeting, take the role of the eye counter. I'll sit with you, and I'll tell you what you have to do. She convinced me to show up at the next meeting, which I did, and she sat with me, as she said. And from that initial starting point, at the next meeting, she helped me with the timer role, with the grammarian role, and eventually, I started learning more about Toastmasters. I started learning how that manual worked and what I needed to do, and I was watching other Toastmasters. Steph became my mentor for the next 6 months. I learned so much from her. Eventually, she said, hey, why don't you take on one of the club officer positions? It's coming up. I'm like, I don't know about that stuff. How hard is it? She said, it's not even hard at all. Why don't you put your name in for Vice President of Education? I'm like, sure. She said, you probably won't get it anyway. Well, that was a blatant lie, because I became the Vice President of Education, and for the next 12 months, I learned so much about Toastmasters. I learned so much about all the club members and what their goals were, because I was responsible for making sure that happened, scheduling the meetings, that the next year I became president of the club. I was able to impose a vision and start implementing, with the help of my teammates, a mentoring program. We started really getting healthy meetings, powerful meetings, very effective contributions were being made. And then from there, I became an area director for 2 years. It has been a journey the past 4.5 years. And it's primarily has been because of mentors, how they help one another. I started having mentors all over the place. I became a protege as well. I started mentoring people. And one of the advantages is that there's never any judgment. There's so much insight you can gain. I became a better speaker, and now my game plan is to become a powerful speaker, a powerful communicator, to be able to express myself in all kinds of situations, to be able to connect with people, and to also learn, more importantly, how other people think. Because it's here in Toastmasters where you get to see that happen on a day-to-day basis every time you show up at a meeting. Also, it allows you to start changing that inner conversation about what you can't do, why you can't do it. All of the negativity that we are constantly pushing into ourselves, that gets blown apart when you come into this experience called Toastmasters. So I encourage you, fellow members, join the program.